This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everybody. If you have a dog, it is a family member. It's a part of your life. They're like people. And so many times, if maybe they're not being obedient or maybe not doing what you want them to do, a lot of times you say, well, I need to do something. Maybe I need a dog trainer. But in speaking with this gentleman, I'm learning that it's not just about the training. It's about the canine communication. I'm guessing there's a lot of times where your dog doesn't know what you want. And likewise the other way. So we're going to dig into that and so much more in terms of what he offers at Paw and Order. Love the name. He is Yury Harczan. He joins us on the program today. How you doing?
Not too bad yourself, Steve.
Real good. Looking forward to learning. I've got a dog. Like I like to say, yeah, our dogs are all fantastic, but just like kids, maybe they don't always take your cue. Where do you think most people go wrong when it comes to having their dogs meet their expectations? What do you think?
Humanizing them.
So you're saying that we try to humanize them.
We express human emotions onto an animal and expect to get human emotions back. And that'll be completely confusing for both parties. Yeah.
Yep.
There's a time that, when we give, love and affection to our dogs, it's the highest form of reward. A lot of trainers you'll see out there that do a lot of treat training, but the connection you need to make with your dog is you not being a dealer necessarily of treats, but being more of a master of guidance. Dogs can give you loyalty, right? Can they love you? I don't know. Can they give you canine affection? Absolutely. But can they give you the human emotion of love? No. It's like, they would never ask us to be a dog. So when we're having that communication, the direction we give them, the jobs we give them, and then the praise, that builds the strong bond. So when you see like even canine units or service dogs, which I train, that connection is a mental connection to work for the handler instead of work for the treat, or be confused by the communication of just consistent affection, but not really earning it or not understanding how to build that bond to get that affection from us. So that's the main thing that, I'll work with when it comes to people with their domestic dogs is we got to remember it's an animal and needs to be treated as such. But the affection that we want to give our animals, because let's face it, I have 6 dogs. Do I love every single one of them? Yes. But do I express love to them? More of an affection to tasks well done. So when we're working with dogs, let's build that connection that the dog works for us and we reward them for a job well done.
And that reward can come in many different forms. It could be
Absolutely.
a treat. It could be a pet. It could whatever.
Absolutely. Petting. Yeah. Even the way you speak to your dog, they don't speak any languages. So we can see, when we say good, even before good boy or good girl, the dog's ears have a completely different, they're paying attention. I understand the tone and pitch of that word, that I'm being praised, because also when you speak, that is your first dispensary of pheromones. So your dog identifies your pheromones of affection, because our pheromones change with all our body chemistry, be it emotions, be it, ailments. Again, why we have dogs be able to detect someone's disability to provide a task is by the way we smell. So even with our domestic dogs, when they make a connection to us, they don't know if you just got your hair cut or your color of your eyes, or, if you're wearing your favorite earrings or neck. No, they make connections to us by our presence of how we smell and how we communicate, be it, verbal and even visual.
I've learned, I want to say learned in the past year that, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I want your feedback on this, please, that all dogs have a job. And when you walk outside, you take your dog for a walk, they're doing one of their jobs. We may minimize it and just say, well, I'm taking for a walk. He's going to pee and poo and we're good.
Yeah.
No, but that's their job, to sniff around, to look for predators, to mark their territory, to camouflage, et cetera, et cetera. Do all
Yes.
dogs have a job?
Well, they're educating themselves when they're out there, on a walk, for instance, as your example. But to be honest, I'm one of the trainers who tells people you have to be very careful with how much you let your dog educate itself on a walk when you're outside. We have to remember that outside, and you've got an olfactory sense on these dogs with millions of sensory receptors, 10, 20, 50 times stronger, depending on breed, than humans. So if we're allowing a dog to identify that a walk is more of an exploration instead of, like you just mentioned, the job to work and walk with the handler, that can be problematic. We have a lot of dogs that are reactive, always pulling. It's because we taught them that once they're outside and they're on the end of that leash, you're in charge of the walk. You let me know where you want to go. It should be the other way around. So are they smelling? And the thing is, like you had mentioned, Steve, that, they're smelling something. That means their nose is, fixated on one thing, or be it a post, fire hydrant, whatever, a bush. If the nose is off the ground, it doesn't work anymore? Of course it does. So the dog is smelling, many, well, down for you guys, miles away, kilometers up here in Canada. But we have to remember that when a dog is with us on a walk, it's your walk and you're bringing your dog with you. Are they experiencing things? But they should still be making a bond with their handler, because once they're working with you on that walk, there's less pulling. There's less reactivity when we come across another dog. I hear it all from herding breeds to wanting to chase cars or kids on bikes, to guardian breeds being reactive when they come across strangers close by, submissive dogs being reactive, or dogs that have been attacked by another dog. And when they come across another dog, they're reactive. It's always the impulse of the dog that we're trying to correct. Well, what if we were ahead of that, gave direction to learn how to walk with us to reduce those outbursts? That's the main thing. Yes, there's a time to let your dog go for a sniff and go to the bathroom, but it shouldn't be 99% of the walk. That should be maybe 5%. And the other 95 is to walk with your handler. Enjoy your time. If you walk with another individual, we don't take off and walk across the street from them, or go, just walk into any place, shop without letting them know, just go off and do whatever we want. No, we walk beside them, we chat, if it's, our significant other, we might even hold hands, whatever. But yeah, with the walk itself, your dog's going out with you. You shouldn't be going out just with your dog.
Would you say that dogs are like children, and what do children want, especially when they get a little bit older?
Yeah.
They'll knock it, but they want direction. They want to know what they should be, the boundaries and all of that. You could have a tween saying, "No, I don't want to do it." They really do want that. Dogs the same way.
Oh, that's a prime example that I use that you just brought up. It's like when you take your young child, under 10 or whatever, to the store. Well, you know what makes the kid happy, and you know what helps de-stress them and makes them learn? Go touch everything. we wouldn't allow that. It's like, okay, get over here, hold my hand. We're not going to the toy department. We're here for school supplies. Hold the door open for that person, whatever it is. It's a lot of direction from the parent in this public access place to teach them how to be respectful of the place, but more importantly, respectful with their parent. Well, the same should be going with the dog. But the great thing about the dog is they're never going to say, this is stupid. That's what the kids are for.
Myth or fact, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Of course you can. It's a myth. 2 of my 6 dogs, I got well, best guess, through myself and some of the other trainers, I guess about 6 years old, my boy Chops was, yeah, about 6 to 7 years old. He came from a very, very bad environment, and probably didn't have a lot of human connection. And so a little bit of rehabilitation, maybe over 8 to 10 months, he ended up becoming a therapy dog.
Wow.
So can you take this, almost feral dog, wild dog, and domesticate to now be going to seminars where I'm doing speeches at, schools, even elementary schools with, kids that are, come screaming up and want to pet the dog and everything. And he's just got this calm demeanor about them. Yeah, you can teach an older dog new tricks. Absolutely. Now, can it take a little bit longer? Sure. Why? Because, a certain maturity or a certain lifespan has been imprinted a lot longer, obviously. So, do, routines become very habitual? Sure. But that doesn't mean you can't teach them new routines. Just might take a little bit longer.
Well, look at as we get older, here it is, beginning of a new year.
Exactly.
People have food and fitness goals. As you get older, it takes a little longer to lose that weight.
Exactly. The metabolism isn't what it used to be. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us your journey, Yury, into to working with dogs. Where did this all begin?
Well, my business itself, I actually started just in 2016. But that was actually something I did to give people with domestic dogs a different type of training, as opposed to 99% of the training I saw out there, which was a lot of cookie cutter and a lot of treat distributors. But I had learned quite a bit for about 4 to 5 years working with the service dogs on, again, which we had talked about earlier, with pheromone detection and how that can even relay to people and their domestic dogs. So after working with the service dogs, I'm like, I'm going to start paw and odor. So let's say, the service dogs was back around 2013. But before that, I had been working with rescues. I had been, fostering and almost doing some rehabilitation, doing a lot of my own education. Didn't have any degrees back then yet, but that goes as far back to the mid 90s. But, we can go as far back as when I was 9 years old. I was working with my uncle, who was part of the canine unit up here for our Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So has it always been around me? Yes. But, finally settling down, getting some education, getting some, certifications and things like that. Yeah, probably started around 2012, 2013. Yeah.
Would you, in any relationship, it's often said it's communication. Your spouse, your partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it may be, when things don't work out the way you want them to, it's a communication issue. Therapists will say, got to communicate. Is it the same thing with dogs?
Absolutely. Again, going back to always giving the love and affection and things like that, that can be a communication breakdown. And one of the main things I tell my clients when they're booking an appointment with me is, I'm coming in to help you communicate with your dog. I'm not there to train your dog, right? I'll show you what your dog's capable of by just, doing some simple tasks, but I'm gonna make you identify body language, know when to train, know when not to train. It's just, again, like humans, are you going to be able to do 8 hours of podcast without a break or a lunch or something? Okay, we can get mentally exhausted. Well, so can a dog. Times that you make sure that you're training your puppies, especially, they need a lot more sleep than, our adult dogs. But that communication is about the timing and the precision and, in a sense, the simplification. If, we're talking to a dog and we're adding 5-6 words to the command, they don't know what you're saying. They don't know what you're doing. So communication, one word, one syllable, and the praise always goes with it. My main mantra that's on a lot of my gear is direction before reaction. So did we give direction? before what we know the dog will be reactive with to get a different outcome? Or do we wait for the reaction and then just plead and reason with a correction after? That's going to be always a very confusing communication.
So we often hear people say, I came home today. I was in a certain mood. My dog reads my mind. They know exactly that's almost like they're thinking in terms of, telepathy.
Pheromones. Absolutely. You can ask, I'd say probably, 98% of people that have had dogs at some point, be it right now, be it in the past, dogs that maybe were a little bit crazy, a little bit overly excited, whatever it was, always wanted to play. If you were ever sick, if you were, like a head cold or the flu or stomach upset or something, and you just were completely just knocked out, that dog will lie at your side. That dog will lie there for 3 hours straight if it has to, because of the way you smell. It knows that your pheromones are telling you that you're not well, and it's doing whatever it can to try to make you feel better and smell the way you usually do. So that, like I said, that's how a dog can identify blood sugar level changes. Boom, off to the fridge, back with your insulin. Service dog, right? PTSD detection, wake up, a war veteran before a night terror, children with autism, being able to identify them, before an outburst. Because, when I'm training service dogs for autism, that's a wide spectrum. But a main thing that we want to work with is a dog interrupting a child that may be self-abusing itself with Asperger's or something. So can your dog know where you are mentally? Absolutely. Because you smell a specific way. You come home and you're angry. Your dog's ears go back a bit. You're angry because somebody just cut you off before you got home, and you're just kind of, just upset about the traffic on the way home. You walk in, your dog's like, I'm excited to see you, but did I do something wrong? It knows, like you were saying, telepathy. Yeah, like they can smell it. Absolutely.
Is it all smell? Because there are some people that claim to be animal communicators where they say that they can communicate with your animal through telepathy. They don't talk about smell or anything like that. Is that even possible?
I don't know. You know what? I'm not a telepathic person, so any communication I have with my dogs, maybe you can go with sometimes of a breed of a high intelligence. Sure, you can pinpoint it there. But I really think it's the communication. Like, we see people, like we use our eyes for, most of our communication with the world, what we see, what we learn. Yep. And the dogs use their olfactory sense. Their eyes are actually, one of their worst senses. So when we look at someone, we can tell when they're a little bit stressed. We can tell maybe they're a little bit upset, maybe they're overexcited, whatever. Does that make us telepathic? I don't think so. I think it's an identification of, maybe a physical feature we're distributing. But with the dog not being able to see those physical features, frowning, or, maybe there's some, let's say, some gist to it of somebody smiling. But I think the minute you speak or breathe, your dog knows exactly where you are because it's around you every single day. And if we use the old myth of 1 to 7 human years, that obviously doesn't work for different breeds and different ages of the dogs. If they're going through time that much faster, and we'll just, use the 1 to 7, they're identifying you 7 days in one human day. You think about it that way, 1 hour, 7 hours. If they are identifying us consistently through this rapid amount of time with all these different changes with us, be it emotional, be it physical, be it aging, whatever it is, they're going to consistently be able to smell who we are that way. So telepathic, sure. There's people say they can talk to spirits. Some people say they can talk to dogs. Sure. Everyone's got their own thing. But the way I see dogs as a service dog trainer help somebody with a disability, it's not telepathic. And it's not that they're looking at someone going, I think your blood sugar level's changing. No, they're smelling. They're smelling.
The proof is go outside. Look at the dog. Their nose is everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah, they're not looking like we're up here. We're covered in snow. I don't know if you got some down in New York. They're not looking at the yellow snow and going, "Oh, a dog peed there." No, they're going, "I smell a dog pee over there." Yeah. So again, like I said, the connections that dogs make with us, 80% of it is through scent. And like I said, visual commands. I've had to train deaf dogs. So obviously they can't hear my verbals. But even some of those deaf dogs I work with, they knew exactly when I was proud of them, and I didn't even have to say anything. Does that make them telepathic? Or did that make them smell an emotion of praise towards them?
This is so much elevated mine, and I'm sure everybody else's respect for their sense of smell. Yeah, we know dogs can smell really well, but oh my gosh, this is like amp it up in a big way of what's actually going on there. Now,
well, we think even with the, like a canine unit, if they have like a drug detection dog, it's smelling contraband. That's usually going to be masked. They sometimes will use tinfoil for the metal smell. They'll do it in coffee grinds, and then it's in a package, then inside a suitcase in an airport. Yes, it's their nose. It's their nose, right? So if they're able to, find, do detection with cadaver, do explosives, do, contraband, yeah, they can smell where you are emotionally.
How does it work when you are connecting with somebody to make their dog maybe more obedient or even on a service animal level? Can you work with people virtually too?
I've done a few. Actually, I had one client in New York, which, it might sound not overly, let's say, entertaining to your listeners, but I'm way up in Canada. And so to have somebody from New York do a virtual training with me, I don't mind it, but I'm such a hands-on guy. I love to see the body language of the dog. There's your communication end of it. When the handler's talking with them or giving commands, your body positioning. Dogs, a huge communication that dogs have is where we're placed, where we stand, be it in front, on the side, things like that. So I do it virtually the odd time. But most of, the training I feel to be the highest success is obviously in person. But, everybody's got, their different ways of training, and you'll see it, videos, be it YouTube, do it this way and do it that way. And your dog will, for instance, walk etiquette, start walking great. Yeah, that you got to be careful with what your expectations are, because they're not addressing your dog's breed. They're not addressing your dog's IQ. Maybe your dog has trauma because it's been attacked by a dog. So, do this and your dog won't react to other dogs. We got to be careful with that way. So when we talk about in-home or in-person, in canine person training, it's a lot easier for like trainers like myself to see where somebody might be, their positioning, how many words they're using, their communication that's confusing. It's very hard to do that virtually. But, like I said, there are simple tasks that we can use, like, teaching puppy training or where to, properly place crates and things like that. Oh, yeah, you can do that with videos and virtual all the time. But if it's more of a problematic area where a dog's, kind of dispensing a behavior that's concerning, we really need to see what's happening with the environment that, makes the dog that way. Is it, the park? Is it the parking lot? Is it the dog? Is it a type of dog? I've seen a dog walk past 10 dogs. 9 out of 10 of them, fine. One of them, no, did not do well, because there might have been maybe a little bit of dominance, overexerted play, maybe an attack at an earlier age, and they can identify the scent of breed. And so now I'm on the defensive. That's very hard to do virtually.
You just described my dog.
Yeah.
And no issues. He's quiet around everybody, but there will be that the 1 out of 10 dog walks by.
Yeah.
All he does is bark. And he's like, but it could be a dominance thing. And for the first time ever, I took him to a dog park last year. And what is the first thing he did? He's a Pomeranian Scottish Terrier. I mean,
Right.
it was like 25 pounds, if that. He walks into the dog park and there was a bench there, walks up, gets on the bench, stands up straight and says, "Meow, meow, 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 meow."
Yep.
It's almost as if he's like, hey, I'm here. I just
Yeah.
want you to know I'm large and in charge, even though he's not
Yep.
large. Jumped off and then started running with the other dogs.
Right.
It was
Right.
like funny. All of this stuff funny.
Sure.
How do we connect with you, Yury? What's the best way?
I've got a few different areas. Obviously, I've got my own website, so that's paw and not ampersand, but pawandorder.net. You can also see me. I'm on Facebook under Paw and Order Limited Ltd, and under Instagram it is also Paw and Order K9. Yeah, those are the three main places that I use. Might be starting something soon, doing some videos, some funny videos with my dogs on YouTube, and that is under That Dog Guy. Yeah, That Dog Guy. There's a number in there too. Damn, I forgot it. But I'll have to find it. But yeah, right now, pawandorder.net and Facebook's Paw and Order Ltd. Yeah, those are the main places that people will either message me, even send me videos, ask questions. So yeah.
Almost on cue, one of your dogs just walked in. I don't know if you saw the black one.
Well, there's actually 5 of them here right now. They're just lying on their dog beds. But yeah, one was just roaming around the back.
Love it. Yury, thanks for being here today and all the insight. Learned a lot, confirmed a lot as well. And love what you do. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate you too.
Thanks. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.